Aries, this is your week ahead astrology forecast by Astrology Motivation from Born Without Boundaries. In these weekly videos, I review the major planetary aspects and transits and let you know how they impact your natal sun and what that means for your bottom line. To enjoy this video, to understand this video, all you need to know is your birth date. I'm going to translate everything else for you. I'm going to start off really broad with the stuff that's happening, the general energies, the global energies, and then I'll focus things down into Aries specific energy, and then I will break things down into the 3 decans of Aries so that you'll know exactly how your natal sun is being impacted by all this that's going on. This is a pretty peaceful week. I'm just going to say, which is really good news, because we had about 2 weeks ago, we had a lot of that going on. I feel like this period is actually the eye of the storm. It's not necessarily the calm before the storm. I think the storm has already erupted, but there's calm here. We're sort of sitting in the center of it. So it's not a time to get complacent, but it is a time to meditate. Let's put it that way. I already picked up my cards. Definitely come over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your weekly tarot card message as well, okay? So let's get into the big stuff. We don't have any big transits this week, but we do have some interesting aspects that are impacting primarily Venus and Jupiter, and a little bit Uranus. Now, Venus and Jupiter are both benefic energies, so they're optimistic. They're pleasant. They're generally amiable, right? They're friendly energies. And so the fact that they're so active has a nice calming effect after a lot of the shitstorm that we've been through. With the sun, with Pluto being so active and so many planets opposing Pluto, especially with the sun opposing Pluto, and while Mars was opposing Saturn, it was just a heavy feeling. But now there's sort of a relief. So let's talk about that. We have Venus that is in retrograde in Leo, and she is trying to Chiron and square to Uranus. This tells me that there's going to be change when it comes to what we value and what we're attracted to based on the crap that we've been through and the difficult lessons that we've had to learn. So this is a nice, beautiful energy of loving differently, of being attracted differently, of putting different values on things based on the challenges that we've gone through and the lessons that we've learned the hard way. That's that chironic energy. And then we have Jupiter. And Jupiter this week is trine to Mars, which means there's a lot of really fun and optimistic energy. It's progressive energy. We want to move forward. We're also experiencing right now Jupiter squaring the sun. And by the 9th of this week, it's going to square the sun and Venus retrograde, because the sun and Venus are going to be conjunct. So that's really dynamic energy that makes us optimistic and also inspires us to make progress and push forward. Now, that doesn't mean that we make radical changes. And I think what's happening here is the universe wants us to carry on with what we've been doing, with how we've been living, with what we've been wanting to manifest into reality. But it's giving us this little push because it recognizes the hardships around. It's like, keep going. Don't veer off course. If you have a course and you have a direction, don't veer off it. Don't change. Don't compromise to the point where you're going in a completely different direction. It's keep making that progress, keep believing, keep having faith. This is an important time. This is an important time to make that decision. Mercury is going to be in its shadow period soon, by the end of this week, definitely, because Mercury goes retrograde on the 23rd of Leo. On 23rd of August in Leo season. But so if you start feeling that there's just like, I hate to be stereotypical, but Mercury retrograde-esque stuff starting to happen, it's because the shadow period has begun. And honestly, shadow periods are like worse than the actual retrogrades themselves. Retrogrades themselves are kind of peaceful, but the shadow periods can really mix things up. So if you know that if for some reason all of a sudden your phone isn't working or your emails aren't coming through right, or you know that it's because Mercury retrograde is coming. It is upon us, and we're going into its shadow period. Let's go into the Aries specific information, shall we? To get Aries specific information, I look at two things. I look at what's happening in Aries, specifically what's going on in that zodiac sign, and then I look at its ruling dignitary and what's happening to it. So in Aries, we have Chiron still, and we will for a few more years. It is still at 19 degrees Aries. So if you are Aries too, especially born around between the 9th and the 12th, your natal sun is very tight conjunction with Chiron, and that could mean incorporating those difficult lessons in life and almost kind of getting inspiration for them and drawing strength from them and starting to see that they haven't wrecked you, they've actually built you up and made you stronger. So this is a few years this is a few years that you would have had with this energy, about 2, where you would be really in this tight conjunction. So this could be a quite transformative time for you where you feel yourself maturing and getting stronger. We also have the North Node now in Aries. It'll move between 28 degrees and 27 degrees. The nodes are usually always in retrograde, so they always move backwards. So that's why the nodes drop into the later degrees of zodiac signs instead of the beginning degrees. So we have the North Node sitting on 28 to 27 degrees. That's the third decan, especially the cusps. So if you are born around I would say April, especially April 20th through the 22nd, you would be feeling this North Node sitting on your sun, which means you're going to be very future focused. You're going to feel dynamic changes to your character that are kind of opposite from where you used to feel comfortable. And that's a very good thing, because there's an expansion and growth when your natal sun is interacting with the North Node. And that'll impact all Aries 3s over the next 6 months. So let's get into what Mars is doing. So Mars is conjunct Mercury by the 8th of this week. And that's really nice energy, because Mercury has gotten out of its opposition to Saturn. Mars has passed the opposition to Saturn, and they're going to conjunct each other. And then they will be both trying to Jupiter. Now, that is very dynamic energy of taking action, making statements, reading, understanding, knowledge, especially because Mars and Mercury are both in Virgo, like getting things done intellectually and knowing that you can and feeling optimistic about it. This is a great time. By the end of this week, into next week, this will be a great time to, I know Mercury is in its shadow period and it's going retrograde, but it'll be a good time to review. It'll be a good time to learn from things you might have skipped over, or slow down enough to learn lessons that will help you move forward. FYI. We also have Mars, like I said, trying to Jupiter, which is very optimistic energy. It wants to make progress. It also gives a little bit of luck, a little bit of an optimistic push to doing and taking opportunities and using your energy. It could just feel like there's more energy, or that you feel really good in your body, maybe for the first time in a long time. It's a very helpful aspect, especially for you guys. So let's go into the 3 decans, shall we? So we talked a little bit about them already. If you know that your natal sun is between 0 and 9 degrees Aries, you're in Aries 1, because it's in the first decan of Aries. So that would correlate to essentially March Aries. So if you're born between, say, March 22nd and the 31st, you would be Aries 1. If you're at the cusps, only if you're at the very, very cusp, the cusp between Pisces and Aries, so that would be March 22nd, 23rd. Your natal suns are in a conjunction with Neptune still. They will continue to be. Neptune doesn't move that fast. Honestly, this has been going on for a while, so I don't think you're going to feel any major change this week, because Neptune isn't experiencing a lot of activity, but it's always going to make you more creative and more psychic. So if you feel that those energies coming back up in you, like psychic energies, being more interested in the mysteries of life, the unseen, magic, dreams, all of those things are aspects of yourself that you could start tapping into right now. It's also, like I said, very creative energy. So whatever you do, whether you're a scientist or whether you're an artist, this is a beautiful time for creativity, creative thoughts. I always think Uranus is thinking outside of the box, but Neptune is, there is no box. There's not even a box. There's no limitations. There's no beginning. There's no end. So this is extreme creativity, and enjoy it. Get yourself into art classes or whatever it is that you're into. Use that creativity to help broaden who you are, your ego. Not your ego as in your pride or your arrogance, but your ego as in your understanding of yourself and your own personal capabilities. You also have a long-term sextile to Pluto, which is dynamic energy of opportunity and forthrightness. So people will open doors for you because honestly, you kind of intimidate the shit out of them. There's this energy that happens when Pluto and the Sun meet up that makes you a very formidable presence. But since it's a sextile, it's a benefic energy. It will help you out instead of hinder you. So definitely use that. We have the moon on the 4th. On the 4th of this month, of August, the moon is going to conjunct your natal suns. So that could be a time for you to release and let go and allow yourself to feel in order to heal. There's also a boldness about the energy because it's representative of both sides of yourself coming together. So the 4th is going to be a very strong and powerful day for you, especially to manifest new things into your life. Let's go on to Aries 2s. So Aries 2, if you know your natal sun is between 10 and 19 degrees Aries, you're an Aries 2 because it's in the second decan of Aries. This correlates to birthdays between April 1st and the 10th, around there, in and around there. If you want to know for sure, always get your natal chart. And they're free. You can get them on so many websites. Just search free birth chart, free natal chart. You need your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. And the systems generate it for you in a couple of seconds. So not difficult to get one of those. Your natal suns are in a long-term conjunction with Chiron, which I mentioned, especially those of you born around the 9th, 10th. It's in a long-term semi-square with Saturn as well. So things can seem more difficult or feel more difficult, but at this point you are starting to understand that maybe it's because it's trying to make you stronger. With a semi-square to Saturn, you could have a feeling like, I'll never be good enough, right? But it's only a semi-square, so there could just be hesitation with, well, will I get more objections? Will I come up against, it's like this sense of coming up against wall after wall after wall. It won't be so intense that you can't confront it, and I think this is a really good time to confront it because Chiron will teach you what to do with all those challenges. This week, your natal suns are trying the current sun, so you will definitely feel an uptick of confidence and energy and tranquility inside of yourself, and that can offer a lot of healing as well. You won't feel like things are holding you back as much because there will be more confidence, there will be more optimism. This week also, however, your natal suns are quincunx to Mars, and by the 6th, they'll be quincunx to Mercury. So this isn't a great time to take leaps forward or huge leaps forward. There will be frustration if you try, especially with Mercury in the shadow period. There's this sense of, you could feel a little bit more intensely this week, those things going wrong, right? And that could just exacerbate this semi-square to Saturn. Like, why does everything go wrong? It doesn't. And it's not just happening to you. It is 100% impacting everybody. And this could be a really good time for you to see your connection to others a little bit more deeply through empathy and compassion by being first and foremost more compassionate with yourself. You also have a conjunction to the moon on the 5th. So what does that mean? like I said to Aries ones, that means that you feel more complete and more understanding of who you are. It is a wonderful time for healing and also manifesting brilliant new things in your life, knowing that they will take time, and they should. Let's go on to Aries 3s. Okay, if you know your natal sun is between 20 and 29 degrees Aries, it's in the third decan of Aries, so you're Aries 3s. This correlates to Aries birthdays between, say, the 11th and the 21st of April. And yes, it would definitely be, if you're an Aries and you were born on the 22nd, sometimes it starts, the seasons, Aries season starts earlier, sometimes it starts later, because it really is dictated by where the sun is at that time, right? So that would definitely include you guys too. Like I said earlier, when it comes to Chiron, if you're born around the 11th or 12th, your natal suns are in a conjunction with Chiron already, even though it's still technically it's still in the second decan of Aries. You're still going to feel it. Your natal suns are close. So once again, for you guys, that is about owning and accepting these challenges in your life, accepting them to teach you, accepting them as teachers, right? And really kind of getting inspired to change yourself and your life because of this interaction with Chiron. Almost an illumination period on why all the challenges have been happening. So there's a lot to be learned right now. And over the next year or so, because Chiron will continue to conjunct your natal suns, because it's going to move into the third decan of Aries. You guys are still square to Pluto, and that also means that you're in the position to be, you are conjunct the North Node and opposite the South Node, because the North Node is actually right on your natal suns, especially if you're at that cusp between Aries and Taurus. 100%, you guys, that would be birthdays around the 20th, 21st, maybe the 22nd. Those of you who are born around that time, especially your natal suns, are tightly conjunct to the North Node in opposition to the South Node and still square to Pluto. What does all that mean together for you guys? It means that your life is going through dynamic changes, especially when it comes to, at this point, partnership and your own sense of personal identity. So you'll find that will be the sort of stage that all the major changes and growth of your life over the next 6 months at least is going to play out on. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It could just mean that you are shifting, that you are experiencing a shift in maybe being alone or not being alone, being with somebody or not being with somebody, or just having to recalibrate your partnership dynamics in general, which can lead you to a more mature and complete version of who you are. So it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but it will be. You'll see that there will be dynamic changes to your life, especially over the next 6 months while those nodes are still conjunct and opposite to your natal suns. And eventually, as these months progress, you'll see that more Aries 2s, you'll start to feel that dynamic as well, though their square will start to break with Pluto after a while. After a while, it will start to break up. But I think all of you will feel this dynamic change over the next 6 months. FYI, this week your natal suns are trine to Venus, so there is beautiful romantic energy here. Venus is in retrograde, so slow things down. Take time with your partner. Take time with your beautiful self. This is a great time to adorn yourself or redecorate the house, feeling good about how you look. It's a wonderful time for dating. It's a wonderful time to also balance out your checkbook, to find that everything that you value and desire has a harmony to it, or a balance, or a possibility to it. So this is actually really helpful energy for you guys this week. Enjoy it. Since Venus is also square to Uranus, you might be getting a little freaky dicky, exploring more avant-garde ways to express your passions, but fuck yeah, enjoy. Anyway, you let me know in the comments below how all this energy is impacting you. Definitely come on over to Born Without Boundaries Tarot for your week ahead tarot card message, and subscribe here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the videos. Bye.